Yo, what is going on, everybody? It is Jay here, aka Mojo Sports, coming at you guys with the Collector Podcast, episode 8 here. I'm here with my boy Troy, aka Troy 415 Cards. Troy, what's going on, man?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
Yeah, man. You're in the Philippines right now, and I'm in
Yep.
California. What time is it over there?
Long distance. It's 11:15 a.m. right here. So
Dang.
little early, little
Yeah.
bright and early for me, but we're getting it going.
8:18 p.m. here, man. Hey, whatever it takes, right? Thank you so much for being a
100%.
part of this, man. I'm a huge fan of your YouTube, and I'm learning a lot. You're a big soccer collector and big basketball
Yep.
collector out in the Philippines, and you have some great YouTube videos, man. So I appreciate what you do for the community.
Of course. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm a big fan of yours too. So this was great for us to be able to connect.
Yeah, hell of a collab. Let's get it.
Let's get it.
So my question for you is, how did you get into collecting?
Yeah, so in terms of collecting, I was actually thinking about this the other night. I was like, I think it was really that 2003 draft class because I was like 8 years old. And I think it might have even been my parents who gave me that push at first. They're like, hey, like your friends, you guys want to head over to the card shop and get some packs? And I was like, yeah, that sounds kind of cool. I like basketball. Went down there, ripped some packs. I still have some D Wade, some Carmelo, and LeBron from when I was a kid. And then I was actually really big into football investing, like not investing, excuse me, football cards when I was a kid. Like I would just watch box breaks on YouTube. Like that was literally one of the first things I think I watched on YouTube was people opening like SPX football. That was my stuff back in the day. And then fast forward to now, similar story to most people. High school, college, you maybe don't spend as much time collecting as you wanted to, just being busy with other things. And then yeah, probably like 2 years ago, 2019, I really started. I've always been collecting, even buying, the odd card here and then. A couple guys like I've played with or played against that I'm sure we'll talk about later. But then, 2 years ago, with the help of some friends who were really kind of like big players in the high end market, I really started deciding to, maybe put some money into this and see what can happen with that. Obviously, I do a little bit of like the more investing if you watch my channel, but also that love for collecting has always been there and continues to this day.
Yeah, for sure, man. So you're from like Northern California. So I'm actually from
Yep.
Sacramento. You grew up in the Bay. So who are
Mhm.
some of your favorite teams? Growing up, and also if people didn't know this, you went to Wake Forest, and we'll get into that. You
Yep.
played basketball at Wake Forest, and you actually are a professional basketball player in the Filipino Basketball League. But we'll get into that. But first of all, who
Cool,
are
cool,
some
cool.
of the teams that you call them your favorites for basketball, soccer, football?
Yeah, favorite teams. I mean, for the Bay Area, obviously all those teams. The Giants were actually a big one as well. I've been buying like some Lincecum, some Buster Posey, some Matt Cain just to remember the good old days.
Heck yeah,
Um,
bro.
the Warriors, obviously with We Believe. I mean, that might have been like the peak of my sports experience when they beat the Mavs. Baron Davis, a fan of the Niners as well. Was never a huge fan. I was more into college football. That was probably like the peak of my fanhood was like college football, USC. I was a USC basketball, USC football, huge fan growing up. Um, Wake Forest, obviously a big fan now. And then in the soccer world, United States men's national team, huge fan. And then Barcelona would be my squad. So I'm kind of all over the place with my teams, but I just love being a fan.
Hey, that's what's up, man. There's nothing like having the cards and just connecting through like having a favorite
100%.
team through the cards. Like that's amazing. And then when that player does well, you feel good inside, man. Especially when we start packing the house and getting fans in again, it's gonna be really cool to see. So I really like that. So let's talk about Wake Forest, bro. You played in March Madness. You were
Mm,
teammates with John Collins, who currently plays for the Atlanta Hawks.
yep.
Talk about your experience with. Let's talk about your high school getting up to college. How did you know you wanted to go to Wake Forest to play basketball there?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a crazy story. It's my whole basketball career. That's a podcast in itself, so I'll try to keep it somewhat short. But growing up, I was never like a huge star. I was always good at basketball. I mean, I'm tall. I'm 6'8", so I always had that going for me. But yeah, in high school, like I was supposed to have knee surgery like my sophomore year, and I was gonna have to miss like 2 seasons, and then just kind of went the other route, didn't get it. Junior year, I sat the bench, like our biggest game of the year, like Bruce Mahoney playing at USF. I got 0 minutes as a junior in high school, and that was like my low point. And I don't think there's many, players who played at Wake Forest and now playing pro who, as juniors in high school, were debatably bench warmers. So I was at like a real kind of low point there. But since then, I just kind of put in the work. Definitely had some lucky breaks. For Wake, it was really like the academic fit was there for me first. Like my parents, I think we talked about it before. Having parents from more of like a, I don't know, like immigrant background, I guess is what I would say. I don't know your exact circumstance, but that's mine. They always, academics comes first. So even with basketball, they're like, hey, you're going to the best school you can, and it's non-negotiable. It's literally non-negotiable. So I was like, okay, Wake Forest is the best school I got into. I'm gonna give it a chance to play basketball. I'm gonna try my best. I don't know what's gonna happen, but that's what it is. And then I was lucky enough to, try out, and I made the team, and then I ended up staying on the squad for 4 years and having some great experiences. And then it was a similar thing after Wake Forest. My parents want me to do the best thing for my future, and they're like, you're gonna go and play overseas. Like, just get a good job. That's what matters. So I was so focused on the job stuff, and yeah, you're from the Bay Area. You know how tech is out there. I really wanted to work at LinkedIn. That's kind of like the path. If you're in San Francisco, go work for a Facebook, go work for a LinkedIn. Valley. Yeah, that's how you take care of your family. So I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. And so I went for that, and then I was like on this path, and then I made it to the final round of LinkedIn, and then I didn't get it. And I was like devastated. And I'm sure you've been there too, a little bit, being a little bit of like a cocky college guy. I was like, I'm going to get it. So I was really only applying to that job. And then these jobs.
Set your bar right in, put all your chips in. I've done that.
Exactly. That's how college guys are. So like, and that job process takes a while. So it was like April or something when I didn't get it. And then I was like scrambling, and then I took some other jobs, but I was like, man, this, like, it just didn't feel right. I was like, this isn't what I want. This isn't going to make me happy. And just like luck of the draw, I got a call from the Philippines, and they're like, hey, do you want to play in this tournament, like with the national team? I was like, oh my God, like that was my dream of all dreams, to play for the Filipino
the FIBA tournament.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's so cool.
And I was like, that's I told my parents, I was like, hey, this is gonna happen. Like, I have to at least try this. So I packed my bag for 1 week, just to, like, I knew I would regret it for the rest of my life if I didn't do it. And I went out there, and then it went pretty well. I ended up getting some offers to continue playing. I was like, wait, people want to pay me to play basketball? So I was like, okay, hey, I'll keep going. And then until then, I'm still out here. So it's always been like kind of like a month. My whole basketball journey has never been planned. I've always said, like, I wish it'd probably be a better story if I, like, wrote on my wall, like, I'm going to be a pro basketball player one day, or like, I'm going to play at Wake Forest. But it's just kind of like, I just followed the game because I love it, and it's happened to work out.
That's amazing, man. It sounds like you've climbed through, and like when times were tough, you didn't give up, and like that's so inspiring, dude. You don't have any idea. There's collectors that are in high school that listen to this, and there's people all around, the world that are listening to this. And I think when you share that, it's like there's a very positive message there, man. And I'm happy for you, bro. You're doing something you love too. Then that's important.
100%. That's why I always try to tell that part of the story too, because I think, like, especially for maybe young collectors out there, like, especially with how it is now with Ball is Life and like all these YouTube things, it's like they think if they're not Zion, like they're a failure, or they're never going to do anything with basketball. And I always say that to be like, I was nothing in high school. I was absolutely nothing in terms of a player, but I just kept my head down and kept working. And then, like, the game has taken me like special places.
Absolutely, man. That's amazing. You played with John Collins. Like, I still think that's, I don't know why. I'm just like, it's incredible, so you were just teammates with him. When you were playing at Wake Forest, were you collecting cards?
Yeah, a little bit. I was buying for sure. Like, especially when those first John Collins cards came out, like they had some in his Wake Forest jersey. I was like, okay, I gotta have some. But once again, if I'm being honest, like, I think, it's tough as well. Like, I know a couple people who were like, really investing and trading out of their dorm room. That's tough to do. Like, that's really a grind. So I was still buying, but not as much. But I still, till this day, obviously I have my LeBrons and my Leinerts and Reggie Bushes and stuff from when I was a kid.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. How does it feel?
But actually,
how does it feel?
Sorry.
Oh wait, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I look back though, and like, even like my coach was Danny Manning, who, maybe some collectors might know.
Yeah,
and like, we had who'd we have, like Dirk Nowitzki, like the Mavs came. Like, how many people I crossed paths with when I was at Wake, I'm almost like, man, I wish I had, like, at the time it's kind of embarrassing, but I'm like, man, I wish I had gotten them to like sign something or like, I kind of look back and I'm like, man, now I'm chasing Brandon Ingram cards, and we were playing against them at one point.
That's pretty incredible, man.
Yeah.
So we talked about you. You didn't get the chance to sign Panini cards, but I want to talk about this.
Yeah.
I think a lot of autograph collectors will kind of like this.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of had your own signing when you went to Wake Forest. You said that they had you sign like for 2 to 3 hours. Because
Yeah.
I asked you, have you ever signed autographs, and what did it feel like to sign your autograph?
Oh, it was cool. I always tried to like enjoy it because like at the time, right, you're in college, you're locked in a room for 3 hours, or you have to go to the mall, or especially after games, once in a while we would have an autograph signing, and I'd be like, man, this is I don't want to be here. I have stuff to do. But I was always like, how cool is this that people are willing to actually wait in line or to spend money to get my autograph, our autograph. And also like even sometimes I would think like, man, who really wants my autograph? But like just the kids, it would make them so happy, so I was like, you know what, it's worth it to do it. So yeah, you touched on it a little bit. Before the season, every year we got kind of put in a room for like 4 hours, and they had all the basketballs lined up on a table, and then like some posters, and then even I think even for like the John Collins types, they had some special stuff that they wanted, like maybe boosters said like, hey, can you sign this specifically? But yeah, it just you get that autograph and you're going over each ball, and then there's some funny stories as well. I remember one time someone put a joke on a ball. Not really like a joke. It was kind of like it was for the seniors going away, and they kind of put like an inside joke on one of the balls, and then
cool.
they had to pay for a whole new set because they're like, we can't have any kind of stuff that's not, I mean, it wasn't a bad joke, but it's like, we have to be very on brand, very clean, all this kind of stuff. So that was kind of a funny story that happened with that. And then another time, they were very specific as well. Like, you have to sign in the same exact spot on every ball. At least that's how they were for us. And one of the freshmen signed where our coach was supposed to go, like right over the Nike swoosh, right in the middle. Same thing. Had to order a whole new set of balls. So it's funny how that stuff goes.
And that's pretty cool, man. Were you pretty close with John Collins?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I'm not going to pretend like we were best friends, but like the memories we have, like he was a big FIFA player. He loves FIFA. He loves soccer, actually. So we played a lot of FIFA, especially in the hotel. You know what I mean? You got nothing to do. I remember he took my Hyperdunks. I had a pair of Hyperdunks that I got from the school, and he got a pair of, I forgot, maybe it was some KDs or something, and we wore the same shoe size. So he was like, oh, I want those Hyperdunks. I was like, all right, I'm not just going to give them to you. You got to earn them. And we played FIFA for it, and he ended up winning. So he got those. So he's a really good FIFA player. I consider myself a good one as well. But that, and then just like going to Chipotle, I remember like one of the funniest stories with him is like him and my other friend had an argument because he loved Qdoba, and we loved Qdoba, and he really wanted to go to Chipotle, and we lied to him and said we were going to Chipotle, and then we went to Qdoba. So just like that little stupid stuff is the things you look back on, and it's like, wow, we just had some great memories,
That's cool, man. Your Wake Forest experience sounds amazing. Many people probably want that experience. They want to play college ball. They want to play basketball, and you're doing something that you're getting paid to do now. What's and this is kind of the last thing we'll touch on with playing ball, and we'll get sort of into like collecting. It's in the Philippines, you're playing for this professional league. How is that league? And you've actually told me you played against some NBA players. You played with Lamar Odom. You played with Andre Bloch on the national team, and various other players. So how is this Filipino league? How is it going?
It's great, man. Like you said, I said it before, like the fact that someone's paying me to play basketball is like a dream. It's a transition. I won't get too technical with it, but at Wake Forest, obviously you're playing with John Collins, and like it's basically my job. If I did happen to get any minutes, it was like, just don't screw up. And then you come over here, and being a 6'8" Filipino, it's like more pressure. You know what I mean? So you have more of an opportunity to have the ball in your hands. And it's different also having that professional mindset. People are here to feed their families. So it's real competitive. It's been tough the last year with Corona and everything, but at the end of the day, it's great. And like you said, to get to, play on the same team as Lamar Odom, Andre Blatch, Terrence Jones was over here, Chris McCullough. And also, I won't waste time saying the names because, most people don't know, but even these Filipino guys who I looked up to when I was a kid, being a young Filipino kid, It's just been great. It's different. There's a way different transition. Obviously, coming from Wake, we had it so good over there, flying charter, doing all these, first class all the way, and it was a little bit of an adjustment. I'm sure anyone who's lived in a different country can relate to that. Being there on your own, so there were some tough times as well, but just overall, I'm so happy, and I just got drafted this year to the PBA, to the top league, so I'm excited to see what happens.
Heck yeah, man. We'll be watching you, bro. We'll be rooting for you. You gotta get a little private signing with you, man.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm down.
Yeah.
People have actually been requesting a lot for like custom cards, either from Wake or my time out here. So that's something I'm gonna have to try to figure out. I know
That'd
the
be
people
cool.
on the
If you
channel.
sell a card, you just do a little signed card thing. That'd be cool.
Yeah, or like I've really been considering sending. I know there's some people who do some really nice custom cards, like sending one of my Wake jerseys, getting some like patches with. I mean, that would be just. I've seen some really cool stuff, so that's something I'm considering.
That'd be cool. You should do that for like a giveaway. That'd be really cool, man.
Yeah,
I like
100%.
that. That'd be cool. All right, let's get into this card collecting community stuff. When did you kind of join the whole social media? Because social media has been really the card collecting community. If you're a part of it, I mean, there's not really any other feeling. And like I told you this, once you come to the States, if you hit some of these shows, we'd love to have you, bro, because it's gonna be a good time. Like what kind of brought you into the social media part of collecting? When did that come into play?
Yeah. So my first thing ever, I think it wasn't until like 2020 actually that I made my sports card Instagram, just because my friends were like, hey, it's good to have, it's good to make those connections, it's good to meet people. So I just did it. And then obviously I have a YouTube channel, and I didn't start that until, it's crazy looking back, it's not that long ago, August of 2020. So really recently, actually.
Yeah, and your content, bro, you're hitting numbers, man. I mean, some of your videos, I learn a lot. I don't know anything about soccer cards, and I watch your videos, and I feel like I get a little insight, so I appreciate that.
I appreciate that. And yeah, so it was August, and I think maybe I'm getting this plug in here. I know people have mixed opinions on it, but I think it was Gary Vee was the one who was talking about like one of the best things you can do with content is like be the content creator that like you needed or you wanted. And I just kind of saw like an opportunity. Like you said, I really appreciate you saying that. I felt like I had an opportunity to help people because I felt like there was a lot of people, especially on the collecting side. There was a ton of great, like I love Pac-Man and 502 Frank, like guys who open
502
packs.
Frank, hell yeah. Card Collector 2 and Kentucky basketball cards. Those are all good guys.
I love those guys, and those were the guys who were kind of dominating at the. Even now, they're dominating, and Absolutely. I think that's great. And once again, I'm putting too many disclaimers out there, but I'm sure there's people who don't like that I come from more of an investing angle some of the time, which is fair enough. But I just, like you said, I really wanted to give that people. I wanted people to learn after they watched my videos. I wanted them to enjoy themselves, but like I was lucky enough to learn from my friends who were like really, really doing it, and I was like, I don't see too many people on YouTube who like, where else would I have got, like if it weren't from my friends, I was like, man, I would have been lost. I wouldn't have known what to do. So that's kind of what I was thinking. I was like, I think I can, hopefully provide some entertainment, but also like if I was just starting out, like what would I want to see and what kind of stuff that would help me. And that's really what I made. Like the first video I made, I was like, I'm just going to talk about what are the mistakes that first time card investors make. I was like, this video would have helped me so much when I started out. So it started with that, and then it's kind of grown to where we are today.
That's what's up. It's important, man. I talked to you about this. I think the problem people get with content creation, and this is for people that are just starting, is don't think about trying to make a bunch of money, from getting views and ad money and all that stuff. Like that shouldn't be a motive. And like the second thing is like, just be like passionate and consistent with it, and lastly, you don't need to get jealous of the top tier people. If anything, use them as inspiration, use them as people you can learn from. There's always some more to learn, and if you're open to that, like the sky's the limit.
Yeah, 100%.
We both started at zero. I started at zero. You started at zero. I don't buy followers. You don't buy followers or any of that stuff. I don't mess around with that.
And I'm sure, I don't want to speak for you, but I'm sure for almost everyone, it's a similar experience. At first, you're getting like 20 views? Like probably for like, that's how I was for months, getting like 20 views or even move it up to 100 views. It's kind of like, you're not getting paid any money. And it's just kind of like, it's the same thing with basketball. It's the same thing with cards as well. It's like, you really have to enjoy it or you won't stick with it. And that's how I feel about like YouTube and content creation. Like I do it and I started because I enjoy it. And like I felt like maybe I could help people. And that's kind of like I'm lucky enough now where like, you know, we got AdSense on and I make the odd buck here or there. But it's I just do it because I enjoy it. And I think that's we talked about it a little before. If you enjoy it and you're just there to connect with people, have a good time, enjoy the hobby, like that'll take you the furthest. That's how I feel about it.
100%, man. People need to stop focusing on the destination and ride with the journey. That was
100%,
my
100%.
that has been a big motivator for me since I got my office. That I just at that office I know I can go there, and you know when I'm in this room and you know everything's great here, but when I go to this office I really set some time aside and I get to like put everything together, and that's kind of where it happens, you know.
And yeah, that's one of the things like you've motivated me. I saw that you had an office and you've talked. I was like, man, I would love to do that because it's also just like I think it's great for yourself as well, your mental state of mind, just like pursuing and like having something that you put that work in, you have fun, you're connecting with other people. Like just for myself, I think content creation has been just it's a
100%.
great thing to have.
Dude, you can take everything to the next level, and I
Mm,
always I encourage people to get an office. I learned that from a guy named the P Ryan collection, and it's dude, it has changed. Mojo Sports wasn't a thing. If you go back on my
yeah.
page, I was getting autographs and doing that, and don't get me wrong,
Uh-huh.
that's great. That's an awesome hobby and it's fun, but deep down it's like I created this brand where like we have the formula to just to sky is the limit, you know. And
Yeah.
I think and I encourage people get an office, you know, have a place where you're paying month to month rent. It's 440
Hmm.
a month for me. I mean that's nothing. And if
Yeah,
anything,
yeah,
every
yeah.
time I have to hand the check over, it makes me want to sell some stuff. You know, if I'm being
Yep.
honest, you know, it motivates
Yeah.
me to want to like do better, grow, to you know do my best, of course. So 100% on that.
Definitely.
So let's talk about like what obviously your motivation is to help people. What are some of the
Uh-huh.
struggles you go through in content creation? Like I can kind of open up with this by saying content creation, I'm going to be honest, sometimes I have a hard time coming up with video ideas. Lately
Yeah.
it's been pretty good. The content's been flowing since I came back from Dallas, and I hang out with guys like Lootbox TV and Card Collector 2 and these guys, and I learned a lot from these guys. But like what's your struggle with content creation?
I would say the consistency is somewhat tough
That's huge
because
too.
ideally for me, like also to grow, I really would. And I do it actually. I do a pretty good job. I think I'm one of the more consistent guys out there in terms of putting out content frequently, but like I would love to put out a video every single day. And, you know, sometimes I hit a whole week where I can do it, but other times I don't. So that's the tough thing as well. Putting out content because you want to have that quantity out there, but you also want to keep the quality as well. Like I never want to. I think sometimes it can show if you're just forcing the video just to force it. So that's a struggle for me, wanting to be consistent but not like diluting my quality. The other one, again, helping people out, and I'll say this too: you don't want to be with sports cards and with content creation. You don't want to be a martyr. So it's like if you think Draymond Green is so undervalued, and you're like, you know what, I'm not buying Zion, I'm buying Draymond Green because he's blah blah blah. Like you're gonna lose, which is fine if you just want to collect, but like don't go down with the ship just cause for the sake of it. And it's the same thing with YouTube. If you're just I mean, you can do whatever you want, but if you're just completely like, I'm just making my titles boring. I'm not doing clickbait because like this, and that. It's like, yeah, you want to be honest with the people as well, but you also want to grow your channel so you can help more people. So that's kind of the tough thing as well. It's like you got to play the game a little bit. That's what people always say with anything, whether it's business, whether it's YouTube, whether it's anything. So you have to play the game, but also I never want to go too far, and I want to like I think people do enjoy the channel because like everything I say is genuine. I come from a point of honesty, and I always want to keep that. Like I never want to lose that, but also at the same time, like you want to grow the channel and attract new people as well.
Yeah, it's funny. I was telling you before, we were talking about this before. I'm sure you've had this. I
Yeah,
film a video in my parents' kitchen talking about my worst investments, and you just
yeah,
said it best. You're like, "Did you really think that video was gonna hit a number?" That video got like 50,000 views. I literally
yeah,
grabbed my iPhone, put the camera up, and I said, "You know what? I'm gonna go through this box and see what I wasted money
yeah,
on." I didn't even
yeah,
think. I didn't think. Oh, and then all of a sudden I refreshed and it had 10,000 views, and I was like, "Whoa! Like what is going
yeah,
on?" And like it's just like, I think that's part of it. It's like I try to go into things with like, okay, I have no expectations on how many views each video is going to get. And I told you this too. There was other Dallas videos, and guess what I do? I drop a like and I watch the video and I'm happy.
Yeah.
There's no, I'm not in the results business. I'm not in the secrets business. I have nothing to hide. You want some advice? Get a good camera, have some good focus on audio, do your best, right? That's the key. If I held secrets and I want to be in the results business and me, myself, and I, give me the ship's going to sink. Like you said, I like that reference.
100%. And I think, to go back a little bit against what I said, like I was saying, like, yeah, you do want to play the game. You do want to clickbait. Not you do want to clickbait, but you want to like create enticing stuff. But I think at the same time, like your video is a perfect example of, once again, I've said it to you before, like you're just a genuine guy who enjoys collecting. And I think that with that particular video, it was just that resonated with people. You don't buy followers. You didn't have any fancy editing. You didn't have any fancy camera. I mean, sure, it helps. But I guess what I'm trying to say is like, it maybe if someone's new and they're watching this, like just don't be afraid to try different things. Just speak from your place of honesty, and you never know what's going to catch on. And also, like, I think once again, if you're coming from that place of honesty, being genuine, just enjoying the hobby, like your moment will come. Like people will gravitate towards that.
Most good ideas aren't accepted at first. I hope people realize that is when you come up with something, you come up with the content, and you got people disagreeing with you. You got to come to terms with the fact is not everybody's going to like you, and not everybody's going to agree with you. And I think you know this the best, And I learned this from Lootbox TV is you got to take the positive and respond to them. You got to take the negative and respond to it, and you got to keep pushing forward. I'm telling you, it's the truth. Look at any successful business. They were not agreed with from the beginning. Use that in your content. Use that in your YouTube. Use that in your Instagram.
Well, that's a tough thing I've noticed as well, is like when you talk about the negativity, like sports cards are very personal for a lot of people, especially because like you can have all sorts of feelings mixed up in it. I mean, the first one is like a lot of people like we grew up cheering for these people. So like when people were saying like, oh, Reggie Bush sucks, I was like, man, like that hurt me. I took that personal. Or like people have real money in this. So if you have, let's just call it $10,000 into, I'll just say Tyler Hero for the sake of it, because he's someone I've actually bought, and someone tells you like, oh, I can't believe you were so stupid to buy Tyler Hero in the bubble. What were you thinking? Like that hurts. So a lot of times I think that negativity comes through in YouTube comments, especially, like I'll speak for myself, is like if you're saying I believe in buying this and necessarily I don't believe in buying this, like it can really trigger some people. So I think sometimes that negativity comes through as well.
I get that because you do a lot of investment videos, and like at the end of the day, you really aren't. You're not, number one, you're not charging people for your advice. You're literally just trying to help people, but you're sharing your experience, your process of how you watched. And I'm telling you, for soccer, you have a good take on that. And it's like, I mean, I'll give you an example. It's literally right here. I mean, dude, Fernando Tatis Jr. I've seen some horrendous things being said on social media. We're lucky. I think it's just a partial, whatever. I think he's out on a 10-day DL. But I'm saying, like, if he was season ending, like, am I hurt? Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, my first thought was, I dropped $2,000 on this, and I was going to regrade it and do all this, and all my plans and designs are, and then PSA shut down, so it's even worse. And it's like, that's the thing. My head goes crazy. And then some guy made a comment on my video last night, and he just commented, ouch. And I wanted to respond, and I did respond. I said, well, guess what? I sold that entire PSA 10 lot, and I made this kind of money, and I bought that and did this. And then I read the comment to myself this morning, and the guy said, oh, good job. But I wish, like, and that's the thing. And it's something to grow for, but it's like, my head was just going that way. It was like, oh, I need to prove something to this random YouTube comment that happened to comment after this guy just got injured and I invested money into him. And yes, did I sell those cards? Like, yeah, my ego wants to say, yeah, I did sell all 10 of the PSA 10s to fund that card. That's fine. Like, it is what it is. But it's like, you know what I'm talking about? Those blood boiling comments where you're just like, I shouldn't have said that.
Well, the worst is when like, the person, I can deal with the negative comments like in general, but the what gets me the most is when they are wrong. Like they'll say or like they don't listen to what you're saying.
Something
so like
stupid. Like
you'll say something, for instance, like I don't even know. This is a random one. Like I believe in I'm gonna buy Klay Thompson. I know he's hurt right now, I'm not going to buy yet. I think there'll be an opportunity in the off season. And then someone will comment like, dude, you're buying Klay Thompson. He's hurt right now. It's like, yeah, I said that. I said he's hurt. So those are the ones where you try not to, those are the ones that really get me.
Yeah.
But once again, like I think if you come from that point of positivity, and also, yeah, there's sometimes, like you said, like you want to tell someone like, I made money though. Like you want to like come back at them.
I did it. I hadn't done it in a while. I told my best friend this. I'm like, dude, I was on my best behavior. But I cracked. But it is what it is. I can laugh about it. I don't care.
Yeah, I've wanted to do that too, especially sometimes it's like, kids and stuff say things. I'm like, I was a kid. I was a kid once too.
Most of the stuff on our channels is positive. Let's be real. I'm more into embracing the positive than the negative. But it's just funny when when the negativity comes in. I think I'm speaking on behalf of people that if someone says something wrong or negative to you, don't stop what you're doing. Just use it as like, I guess, something to grow.
100%.
That's actually something out there. You're putting yourself out there. What do you expect?
That's something I've learned. That I think that's actually, out of everything that's helped me in content creation from basketball, I would think that's a lot, the big of it, because I got used to negative comments. Like, man, I got on Twitter and stuff. Like, that's something people don't know about with, like, especially I can't even imagine what these NBA guys get, because I'm like literally a speck on a piece of dirt compared to them in terms of what my negativity I get on Twitter. But it's just like you just get used to it, and you're like, man, whether it's content creation, whether it's even in school, let's say you're in high school, man, like the stuff people are saying to you, it has nothing to do with you. That's the biggest thing. I was like, they don't know you. They're going through their own problems. That has, especially when someone like comes from a place literally to like just to hurt you. It's like that's their own demons they're fighting.
Dude, that's you facts, and I wish I knew that in high school. When I was in high school, I could not take it, but you just said it best, bro. I mean, if you had a bad game, they're gonna attack you. Like, oh well, like, and I think for me, it's I realize people that like honestly are like genuinely, I don't want to call them evil, but people are coming from that really negative. Just like I watch them beat on other people. I see that person. I'm like, man, he must be in a lot of fear and pretty insecure. That's unfortunate. And I hope he does. I hope they do. I hope they're gonna be okay.
Yeah, and that's the thing I said to you. Like, man, you just like you radiate positivity. I really like that, and I think whether it's you don't have to be a content creator. If you're a collector, that stuff like other people notice that. Like people like dealing. They can tell when it's just a good person who just enjoys the hobby, and like that'll pay off. And a lot of people have said this. We don't have to get into the nitty gritty, and like I go against this sometimes too. But like when you look out for other people, they look out for you. Like I've seen your videos, like you've built so many great connections. Like I liked it when that person hooked you up with the DeMarcus Cousins, like one of one. Like, man, that stuff is. I'm not telling people like, hey, go out here and give away your RPA one of ones for free. But like, if you just carry yourself a certain way and like you genuinely care about other people, like that stuff comes back around. That's really how I feel about it.
Dude, I just want everybody to be successful. In the words of Mark's cards, I want everybody to eat. I really don't have a dog in the fight to be egotistical, controlling. I don't want to be the best. I'm just doing my best. I don't. Okay, take the 10,000 followers away. Like, I love where I'm at. I love my life today. I'm living the best life I can, and it's healthy, and I love the people that I'm around, and I get to be close to my family, and that's really important to me.
Yeah, that's what matters. I agree.
Yeah, 100%. Let's talk about soccer. So you know a lot about soccer. I don't know much. I got these.
Those are nice though. I like them. I know you got a deal on those.
Yeah, I got a deal on them, and it's just funny. Like I said this, the pattern in the Dallas shows. If you would have bought soccer cards in Dallas, soccer's coming up right now, and we kind of said this. The door on buying soccer's kind of closed a little bit, right? Or would you say there's still time?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has a little bit, especially on like the mainstream stuff. But something I've always said about soccer is like it's like the wild west in a sense. Like just like I think it was literally like a year and a half ago, definitely 2 years ago, not too long ago, Messi and Ronaldo rookie cards in like PSA 9, PSA 10 were going in the hundreds of dollars. So it's a brand new market. It basically didn't exist a year ago. So there is always opportunity. Like I've said, there's opportunity in basketball and baseball as well. But I mean, maybe you can disagree, but like most of the ratios and stuff make sense. Like for instance, you're not going to be like, wait a minute, why is no one buying this Luka Doncic kid? He's actually pretty good. Or like, why is everyone buying I mean, there's a little bit, but basically my point is in soccer, because it's such a new market and it's like the wild, wild west, there's always, opportunity there. So even now, if you're looking for certain things, I think there are opportunity is there as well.
I like that. How do
Yeah.
you? Because like in soccer, I know that guy Fatty, I think is his name.
Yeah.
So he got
Yeah.
hurt, and
Yep.
this is what I wanted to ask you is we've all gotten burned. The player gets
Uh-huh.
injured. They're having a bad season.
Yeah.
They got cut from the team. God forbid, right? Hopefully, you don't buy players like that. But
Yeah.
how do you feel when that happens to a player that you kind of bought into and you wished like you could have made some money? It's a burn because it's essentially it's money, right? How do you deal with
Yeah.
that? Like the adversity of like, okay, I'm not gonna do that same thing.
It's tough, especially real quick. I'll say in soccer, injuries in soccer are really really tough, man. Like there have been players whose entire career has been derailed by a pulled hamstring, and it's just months of them trying to get back. It's different than I'll say particularly in basketball. Like if someone tears an ACL or something, it's like okay, well there might be some complications, but like in soccer all the time, there's just little nagging injuries that like Fati for instance. I think people were even saying he's coming back in like February or in January. People thought he was going to come back, and we still don't even have a timetable on him. So it's really, really tough. I think for me, as long as you have a plan and you kind of know what you're doing to a sense, I mean, you feel bad, but it's like that stuff is out of your control. What are you going to be like mad at Fati for getting injured? As long as like if you have, let's just call it $10,000 to put into soccer, and you put every last dime you had into Fati, and then he gets hurt, then you can look at yourself and be like, what was I doing? Like that was just not a very good plan. But if you have, once again, you have $10,000 and you have 9,000, you have, let's call it 7,000 of it in Messi and Ronaldo, and you decide to take a little bit of a risk on Fati with $500 and he gets hurt, then you just go, hey, that's okay. I hope he comes back. I think it was the right buy at the time. That's how I look at it too. If anything goes wrong or I make a mistake, as long as my logic was sound, then it's like, hey, what, that didn't work out, but I believe in what I did at the time.
So we shouldn't DM the players harassing them about their bad games. I'm just kidding.
Definitely not. I've
No,
gotten
I'm
a couple of
joking.
those,
Oh,
so
have you?
please don't do that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
no, no. We're not promoting that.
definitely.
Yeah, no, man, I'll be honest. Like, there is an emotional attachment to some of my cards for sure, and like when I am, even when I
100%.
invest, and I don't always talk about investing. I talk a lot about collecting, and that's just,
Yeah.
I think that's the direction of my channel, just how it's going right
Yeah.
now. But I could see myself in the future. I here and there people will say, "Hey, what's a good buy?" And I'll throw like, "Hey, this is kind of what I have. I don't have very much of it, but it's like." I think the emotional attachment, like I'll be real, like when Tatis did get hurt, like my heart did break a little bit. That if he would have been out for 10 months or it was the bad injury from that first year, I definitely like felt some attachment there because I mean that's $2,000 in that card that I could have put in something else.
Yeah. It's interesting. That emotion is good too as well. Like I've talked about here, let me see, maybe I can whip out I'll pick like Tyler Hero. This is obviously not a big card. This is just what I happen to
I have
have
him
here
on
in
my
the
fantasy
Philippines.
team. I still like him,
Yeah.
yeah.
But like I last year I didn't do this, like buying Tyler Hero at the time was not a smart decision. Not at all. If you look
Did
at
you
it
buy during the
objectively,
bubble?
I bought before the bubble. Like when he was injured, he got injured in his rookie year before the bubble, and I bought a ton of Hero, and I ended up doing really well on it. But the point is like that when he was going off in the bubble and I was cheering him on, like that was like the most fun of it all with like my emotions connected to the cards. So it can go good and bad as well. And I think there's I always say to people like you got to have fun with it too. So like those emotions can work both ways, and I think that's kind of like if you had no emotions at all, like I bought like a Kawhi Prism. I have absolutely no attachment to that. I do think it's going to go up and I'll end up making a little bit of money on it. But it's like, I don't want to do that. Like, that's not really why I'm in the hobby. If I'm just completely not attached to any of these cards, it's like, even if you're doing a little bit of, once again, I'm air quoting, but investing is like, it's fun to have that personal stake in a player. I think that's what makes it interesting. If you're just totally detached, like, I don't know, maybe you can just like do Bitcoin or something like that.
I like that, the thrill of owning
Yeah.
and I talked about that in the first episode of the podcast on a solo podcast. I said when you own the card, there's something there with that, and it's you can call it hitting cherries on a slot machine, whatever you want to call it, but
Yeah.
I like the thrill for sure. I mean that's a big part of it.
Definitely. Definitely.
being a part of the community, what
Yeah.
what has the community done for you in like in your basketball life, in your personal life, and just in your life in general? Being a part of this YouTube and Instagram community, what has it done for you?
Yeah, something I always say is it's good to just have something, man. Like to be a part of a community, like it's so good for you. So like with basketball, almost most people played growing up. Like it's like that's your friends. That's what you have to do after school. Those are the people you hang out with. And now for sports cards as well, like the conversations I've had with people, the people I've gotten to meet, like the great memories. I hope like I'm sure you have some amazing memories from like Dallas Card Show and that kind of stuff. Like I haven't been lucky enough to go to Dallas, but I look forward to that. I think it's great, man. Especially I know there's for some people like people have openly talked about it. Like maybe they were in a dark place, not a dark place, but like I one thing I like about sports cards is I think there genuinely are a good amount of people who might have grown up more on like the outskirts. You know what I mean? Like people who were I think more of like the collecting. Maybe you weren't necessarily like the coolest kid in school. And I'm not saying that's everyone, but there are those people for sure. And I think like the fact that you have that community, just anything that unites people is just awesome, man. And I think sports cards do that, and it has for me as well. Same with basketball. I mean, hey, I was speaking in generalities. I'll speak for myself. I definitely was not like the coolest kid growing up. So having my basketball friends there for me, having now with sports cards, like that stuff is invaluable, man. Like that's the stuff that means the most.
100%. And it's crazy you mentioned that, like being a part of. That's when I started collecting in 2010, 11. Like, dude, I was overweight. I was like 300 pounds. I mean,
Yeah.
and collecting during that time was nerdy. If you did
Yeah,
that, and I
yeah,
remember getting made fun of. I used to make YouTube videos. I would never show my face. I was so insecure about being overweight
yeah,
and all this stuff. And you're right, man. The outskirts. I think deep down, like collecting can considered nerdy, but like not
yeah,
anymore. Like it's new. It's
yeah,
like when I was a kid, you like making fun of people with glasses. Like that was still a thing. Today, glasses are a
yeah,
style. And I told this to
yeah,
somebody
yeah,
else
yeah.
recently. Wearing glasses is style today. Collecting is a style today. Nobody's gonna make fun. Like I have people that literally had no idea I was doing this in my life, and they're contacting me trying to sell me sports cards, and I'm just buying collections now. That's what I do. I buy collections, and I buy stuff and sell and trade, and it's fun. It's a I use it as a business.
100%. And I got a couple things. First off, I'm sure for you with your autograph signings and everything, like through my YouTube channel, I've gotten to talk to like celebrities and athletes that I was a fan of growing up, and they've asked me for like, "Hey, what about this sports card?" I'm like, "Wow, this is insane." And like friends, and then also like I always say, whether it's card collecting, whether it's sports, whether it's, gaming or theater or whatever you believe in, I think just everyone out there having something that you're pursuing, something that brings you joy and just like making that a big part of your life, like it's just so good for you. And like for a lot of people that's sports cards, and I think that's great. I mean, even for me, like I'm in the Philippines right now, but like I'm on lockdown. So I can't practice right now. I can't really do that much. Like having sports cards is great. Like it gives me like I really looked forward to this conversation this morning, and like that's all sports cards. That's all the sports card community.
And that's the root of it, man. I mean, for me, I'll talk personally here. I thought about my life, and I went to college and I got the marketing degree, and I thought about, do I go back to school? This was like right before COVID. I'm thinking, do I go back to school and
Hmm.
do something I don't want to do, or do I take the leap of faith? And I got the office, I took the leap of faith, I learned, and I started networking with people, and I just had this vision recently. I thought to myself, would I want to be sitting in a classroom wishing I was in Dallas, Miami, LA, traveling, doing what I love? Would I want to be really sitting in a classroom doing that? And the answer was no. And I
Yeah.
just I just chased this thing, bro, and I'm not giving up. I will not go down without a fight. And it's just we're gonna continue to grow, and I have no expectations. Honestly, dude, like I'm riding the wave and I'm having a good time and I have a smile on my face, and that should say a lot.
Yeah, I mean that speaks to like one of my investing philosophies, but also just life is like, could I sleep at night? So like for instance, people ask me like, "Oh, is the sports card market going? Well, aren't you nervous? It's pretty high right now. Like you're getting in at like a wrong time and you're putting money in." It's like, could if we do all this right, we go for it with the content creation, do a little investing. Hey, maybe at the end of it all, like super knock on wood, I don't think it's what's going to happen, but like maybe the cards don't, the card market goes down. Maybe the content doesn't get to where we wanted it to be. Like I would sleep so soundly at night knowing I gave it my all and I had a ton of fun. But if I had this opportunity and I was like, oh man, I made $100. I'll just call it quits. I can't do this card thing. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night.
Yeah,
Knowing it's something
that's such a fake thing, dude. I'm telling you, and see, you're on that same wavelength. You and people I've brought on this podcast are very on this wavelength, and I hope more people learn from this. Is give me the card market crash tomorrow. I'm ready. And guess what? I had the best time of my life collecting the last year. And we had this pandemic. All our lives got destroyed. We lost family. We lost friends. But we had this freaking community. Are you kidding me? The community is never in 10 years have I experienced what I've experienced in the community. And if you're worried about the card market crash, I'm sorry, but like you're in this, you got to change your attitude on that. You got to get out of that. That's the results business, and that's a flipper mentality, and that's great. That's cool. We're glad you're here, but you're not. This isn't a long term. There's no longevity there. You want to build your brand and you want to join us and get on this wavelength. Like, dude, come on, come on board. Like, have a good attitude with this thing.
Yeah, and you got to be like somewhat safe as well to an extent. Like, I don't want to speak for you, but like you said, you finished school, right?
Yeah, I got my marketing. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, and even if you don't, I don't mean to say that, but like you have a degree, like you have a family that cares for you and all this kind of stuff. Like you've happened to do well with some of your cards and stuff like that. Like I just feel like now is a great opportunity. Like why would you not just go for it? Like take that risk and go for it. That's kind of how I felt.
The networking, the entrepreneur skills, I'm telling you, you will learn things outside of a classroom in this,
True.
doing this, dealing at these shows and I learned from you guys, bringing you guys on this podcast. I learned so much, and it's like, I mean, here's what I'm thinking about right now. It's like, if you had any advice to someone new getting into this hobby or trying to get into the business side, like what advice could you give the new collector? They're starting tomorrow.
I mean, the first one is the easiest one that I think people always give, though, but it's said for a reason. You have to do your research. Like, if you get in here and you're just pouring money in and you don't know what you're doing, that's a mistake, I would say. Like, you really absorb as much info as you can. And also, like, it's the same thing, like you said, business, real estate. Like, find a mentor. Like, that stuff is real. Like, maybe you don't need a full-on mentor, but, like, there's people in the community. If you have a friend, or even people send me DMs all the time, and I answer every single one because I wouldn't have had that person. So try to absorb as much info as you can. Talk to people. Make sure you're getting into it the right way. But also, like you said, that goes into building connections. Have fun and do it responsibly. That's what I would say, because there's no perfect way to get into the market. Everyone has to make their own mistakes, but I guess the number one I would always like be really firm on, though, is like make sure you're educated before, because the last thing you want to happen is someone to get burned when they first come in and then they leave the hobby forever. Like you hate to see that.
I like that. There's a lot of lessons there for sure. And it's like, I don't know, have you, like, for me, I think I struggle sometimes with balance, but like where I'm at with where I'm at with Mojo Sports, it's like the balance needs to be with life, my friends, and just some other things. I really need to like keep a schedule, and that's something I've been doing, is I've been keeping a schedule. But for you got for right now, obviously you just are doing cards because no basketball, but like balance wise, how have you balanced basketball, your career, your education, and cards? Like, because a lot of younger people could use this advice, I would say.
Yeah, it's all a balance, but for me, I kind of just, COVID was kind of an opportunity for me to like reset my life. And I know like a lot of people, I say that like knowing what COVID has done to people and their families. But for me, in many ways, COVID was a blessing because it was a complete reset of my life. Like I got home from the Philippines, I got to the US, and for the first time in my life, like I literally could do nothing. Like if I didn't have school, I had a job. I was lucky enough to still be getting paid through basketball, but I didn't have to do anything. I could have stayed home for 6 months and played video games every single day, like done absolutely nothing. So I was like, what do I want my life to look like, and what can I do? And I just realized, like, what do I have to do every day? I have to get a 2-hour workout in, and that'll help me achieve my basketball dreams. And with another 2 hours, I can do a lot with sports cards. I'm lucky enough I can make a video in 2 hours. You can, go on eBay, talk to people, make some deals in 2 hours. So I was like, okay, I only have 4 hours of stuff total I need to do every day. And that'll help me achieve my basketball dream and help me achieve like my card collecting dream as well. And I was like, what excuse do I have not to do that? So I read a book as well called Atomic Habits, and it's about building those habits every single day. And I just built the habit of I need to follow my basketball dream. I need to follow my card collecting dream every day. So with basketball, whether it's a lift or a run or anything, I do it every day, and it's not that hard. Like I said, you can even do it in an hour. I can work towards my goal with 1 hour in the gym, and then with my videos, I can make a video in 2 hours, or at the very least, like do a podcast, make a deal, do some sort of plan for a video coming up. And I was like, I have no excuse not to do those things, and also obviously you have the family time and stuff in there as well. But I guess the point is like it's not as much time maybe as you would think. Like just do a little bit every day. That's the other thing too. Like I guess the advice I'd give is like my girlfriend, she wants to start doing like more content creation and stuff like that. And I'm like, you don't have to make a podcast every single day and like have this amazing editing and like have these, it's like just do one thing every day that gets you towards it. And like, that'll make such a difference.
I like that. That's really inspiring. There's a lot there. Like I'm taking some of it right now. Let me take some notes, but that's cool. I think for me, the balance, I do a podcast every week. Because that gives content on both ends and people are really enjoying this podcast. I try to do, some mail days and just kind of whatever fills in. But I spend time at the office. I've been bringing my gym close. I've been playing basketball in Sacramento. And that's been a basketball. For you, you're professional. For me, I'm like the rec league JV team, but I love basketball. It means a lot to me. And it clears honestly, dude, when I'm shooting shots and I'm getting cardio in, dude, it clears my head so much. It gives me so many cool ideas.
I hate to interrupt you, but take a day, right? Let's say you film a video in the morning or you post something or get something done for your content. And then after that, you go and play basketball with your buddies, get a sweat in. Like how amazing of a day is that though? Like how great does that feel? Whether you're a professional or not, like that's the dream. That's also what I realized as well. You're being productive with those two things. You're getting in shape, and in the morning, you're probably making at least a little bit of money doing something. It's like you're being productive, and you're so happy. And that productiveness, that's also what I realized too. Being productive and doing those two things made me happy, and it also helped get my life to where I wanted it to be. So I was like, man, that's just the way I want to live.
That's amazing, dude. I love that.
Yeah.
I think that balance, and I think when you're balanced out in your life, or if you're in school or whatever you're doing right now, and you balance that with collecting, it's like what you can feel it when you're balanced and you're on that even playing field and like doing the next right thing with all this stuff, and like it's not stressing you out, and you're not like
of course, yeah,
you're not anxious doing it. That's always fun too. I mean, that's always good too. It's healthy.
Of course, and it's a blessed position to be in, but man, like I said, if you can get your life to a place where the stuff you need to do also makes you happy, like that's the goal. Like I said, whether it be card collecting, whether it be anything, like find that thing that makes you happy, and like that productivity makes you even happier. That's gonna then those two things intersect, and it's not even a balance anymore. That's what I'm saying. Like if you can find a way where both things kind of line up, and the same thing too, like the balance of like when you're doing card stuff. That's the great thing. Like you said, you're also connecting with people. Like this is work in a sense, but this is making me happy. I'm connecting with you. Hypothetically, I'm sure it can get to a place, or maybe it already, where you can make a little bit of money too. So it's like all these things are intersecting, and it's just great, man. Like that's really like the way to do it, I think.
After every podcast, bro, I learn a little bit more. I realize I don't know as much, and like. Yeah. There's something there. I feel like I have a clear head toward the hobby for this week now because I did this podcast, and like you and I, like you're in the Philippines, I'm in California, but you happen to be from Northern California, and when you come back, like we're playing basketball, we're going to a card shop, or we're doing a vlog, like I'm doing this, and like that's like networking 101. Like we watch each other's videos and like everything, but like once we can have that full-blown conversation, it's like that's where rubber meets the road.
100%. I look forward to that. I know there's also You check out Sunday League Investors on YouTube. Brian, he's big into soccer cards. He's
Okay.
moving to the Bay Area as well. So he's like he does a lot of great like vlog content. So there's something there. I'll be excited for that to happen.
I like that, man. I really appreciate that. I want to thank you so much, man, for being a part of the podcast. I mean, the chemistry was great, and you have so many just great insights, and you're inspiring a lot of people, man. And I just want to thank you so much for being a part of this.
Of course, man. Thanks for having me on. It was great. Always fun talking sports. And like you said, hopefully I was able to help at least one person with this.
You definitely helped me. So, and I know you can help. If you can help just one person, that's all that matters. So you can find him on Instagram, Trike415 Cards. You can find me on Instagram at Mojo Autographs. Want to thank you guys for listening, and we will see you guys next week. Thank you guys.